Hey guys, welcome back to another Viper Strategies video. Today, I'm going to be doing a couple different things. We're going to be refactoring the 6-story corners, but I'm also going to be touching on some money management, and I'll be talking about that more at the end of the video once we run through these tests. So you'll want to make sure that you stick around to the end because that's something that's very valuable. Many other channels do touch on it, but nobody really goes into depth about it. I always talk about winning more and losing less. Most people focus on the winning part, but not enough attention is put on the losing. So I'm going to show you and I'm going to talk about how to lose less, therefore making more when it comes to your overall profit gains. Now, I didn't come from money, and I bring that up because I want to share everything that I have learned to help anybody else out there that wants to learn how to make consistent profits playing this game while reducing that risk of losing more than you have to. And that's how we do it through testing. So let's just jump into it. And I'm going to show you the changes that I made to the 6-story corners. Okay, so we are in the strategy builder or 6-story corners. And this has a total of 18 levels in this strategy. We're going to level up 1 on a loss. We're going to level back 1 step on a win. We're going to have strategy restart session high. Here, this one right here, since this is built out for 18 levels, there's 18 levels of progression in this strategy. So I'm going to keep this enabled. All this means is that once it cycles through all 18 levels, it's going to reset. If we're down in our bankroll, essentially all this means is we're going to start all over to try and work our way back up instead of having it continue to chase that previous session high. So we're going to keep that enabled. So that's one thing that I changed. And then I do want to go down here and show you. So I dropped off the top 3 tiers. This essentially is going to have 18 levels. There's going to be 6 levels in each tier. And based off the previous test, 98.4% of the time, it was back and forth between that first tier and second tier. I decided to add a third as a safety net just to kind of see how many times do we need to use that third tier? So I am going to be tracking how many times the progression enters that third tier. And I'm also showing you how I test before I actually use a strategy on real play. This is what I call a multiple session test. So I'm going to run 100 spins 10 times, and we're going to do the averages at the end of the video, and I'll talk about how I like to refactor the bankroll size based off my testing results to therefore make more money in the long term. But right now, I'm just going to go through the steps and show you how it's all laid out. So this is going to be step 1. Step number 2, you just add another corner bet. Step 3, add another one. And then once you get to that 4th step, now the unit size goes up to 2 units each corner. And then it stays at 2 units for another corner. And then this is still on tier 1. Then we're going to get up to our highest coverage for corners. That's going to be 6 corner coverage. This is going to be a total of a $12 bet. Now going to step 7. Now we are going to go back to 1 corner. We're in our 2nd tier. And then we go to the next step, and that's going to be another $3 bet. And then we're going to add our 3rd corner in at $3. And then from here, we double again. Right? So now we're at a $6 bet per corner at 4 corners. Now we go to 5 corners at $6, and we're going to go, this is our 12th level in the progression. We're at 6 each corner. Now, I think it would be best to keep it here, but this last one is just a safety net. So we're going to start, instead of starting with 1 corner, we're starting at 10. You lose that one, it drops down to $8 per bet at 5 corners. And then we drop back to 4 corners at $6. And then from here, we go down to 3 corners at 4. And you can see the bet amount does drop off. And then we go down to 2 corners at $2. And of course, last one is going to be 1 corner at $1. That's going to be a full sequence of 18 levels in the progression. So let's go ahead and get everything set up for the test. So again, we are running 100 spins per test to replicate a session. And these are all going to be different data sets. They're all going to be different spin numbers. And remember, guys, I only use collected real spin data from real casinos. And after each test, I'm going to show you the testing results for that session. And at the end of the video, we are going to go average out the entire 10 sessions. So I'm going to let the test run through and we will catch up with you at the end of the video. All right, let's go over the final averages of these test runs. This is something I do every single time with every strategy that I decide to use before I actually use it in real play. This, you need to understand the behavior of each of these strategies so you could have the confidence in knowing what it's going to do on both sides of the spectrum, whether it be in the profit, whether it be in the minus. And this is why we do this. We always test before we invest. That way we have a better understanding. That being said, going over the results, the total spin count, we only had that one that busted. There was one out of the 10 that ended up busting. And so total spin count comes out to 992 out of 1,000, 99% right there. Profit per spin wasn't great on this one. It was only 87 cents per spin. Profit high, the average between all 10 sessions, we have $86.50. Profit low, average between all 10 is $64.80. And the profit of bankroll, right? We're using a bankroll of $285. That's worst case scenario if you lose all three tiers. Profit percent of the bankroll is 30%. That risk reward ratio comes out to, for every dollar that you risked, you made $1.33 in profit. Overall profit throughout all 10 sessions, you're in a positive gain of $217. This is a 76% ROI starting from your initial $285 bankroll. Something I do want to highlight is we did have one that busted. I did tally up and keep track how many times we went to that third tier. And on that one that we busted on, that session hit that tier 3 times. So this is just solidifying my previous testing, meaning that that third tier we don't need. We don't need the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth tier. Knowing the behaviors on average is between the first and second tier, we could go ahead and just drop off the other ones. So next, before I wrap up today's video, I do want to talk about some money management stuff and show you how I refactor and resize my bankroll so I could lose less, therefore making more money in the long run. Because you can see through 10 sessions, not many people are going to want to make only $217 in profit. I understand that. If you look at it in this way, if you are shooting for a lower profit gain per session, let's say you have that at 10%, even that one that busted would have got your 10%. So keep that in mind, but let's go into the money management stuff that I want to cover before I wrap up today's video. Okay, so profit gain, obviously very important. You need to make sure a strategy will make profit for you, but I do want to refocus here on something important that many people very often gloss over, and that's on the loss side of things. How do I reduce that volatility? And how do I lose less? Well, it's through testing. After you test these strategies out, we're going to find out what the average down draw is. How much bankroll does it use on average? You use that for your resized or refactored bankroll. So looking at this screen right here, session high was at the $86 level. Session low was minus 64. So if you were to resize based on the testing results, this right here alone is going to save you money and keep more money in your pocket and preventing you losing more than you need to. So if you're looking at the session lows based on the test run that we just ran, you'll see we busted that one time at minus 285. Another time it went fairly low was at minus 108 into our bankroll. So if you were to refactor that at a new $70 loss point, that's where you're going to stop playing for that session. That way you're not chasing a unicorn and trying to make up previous losses. If you were just to supplement that and replace that with that $70 that you lost for that session and stop right there, you could see we had back-to-back losses on 2 back-to-back sessions. So if you refactor that and you had a stop loss, this is a hypothetical scenario, you stopped at that $70 point, the new average will be minus $39.50. So the biggest influence this is going to have is obviously on that risk to reward ratio. By dialing back the bankroll, will reduce those nights of you losing more than you unnecessarily have to. Like I said, we will encounter those losing sessions. It's how we handle those losses. What are we going to do to prevent us from going down and losing too much money? Knowing the behavior of that strategy, knowing that if you get past a certain threshold, you're getting into that area where it's no man's land, that area where it often doesn't go. And if you make that pivotal decision to continue, you're really just chasing at that point. We're trying to minimize that chasing, therefore saving money by not going down that rabbit hole. So you could see from that first session, we made a total through all 10 sessions of $217. That's a positive 76% ROI starting from that initial $285. Now, with that being said, if we just adjusted this one thing, right, and just refactored hypothetically using that same exact run, the overall profit over these 10 sessions are going to be significantly higher at $470 in profit and a much bigger ROI at a positive 165% of that starting bankroll. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video. Let me know what you guys think about this. If you guys find any value in this, please like and subscribe, and let me know you guys' thoughts. And of course, guys, till next time, be cool, stay cool, peace.